right?
Yeah, it was in me, and it ran through my blood that I wanted to be able to do multiple things
Yeah.
and do it at the highest level.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes women have to be able to voice that and be heard. And if you are married, for your husband to hear that.
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jacquie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. Okay, everybody, episode 25, we're going to continue this conversation about, when is the right time to have kids and having the discussion with your spouse and really navigating this out. I feel like the first episode of this that we did, there's so many conversation points that go in. You could probably listen to it and almost get overwhelmed if you're a, married couple with no kids. However, I would encourage you not to get overwhelmed. I'd encourage you to actually take some time to have some of these conversations. It's easier to have these conversations on the front end and get some alignment than it is once everything gets a little bit crazy once you have babies running around your house, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that the best thing about having all these conversations and these questions is that you and your husband or you and your wife get to grow closer together. You get to know them even deeper because at this point you hadn't had little humans running around with you that, allowed you to just kind of float sometimes if you wanted to. Now you're responsible for, these kids and their future. Right. So there's a lot of pressure to it. And, I think one of the things is that, some people don't take the time to do all this kind of stuff. They don't prep ahead of time and it works out fine for them. You know what I mean? It truly does. And then for some of us, we actually, we kind of actually enjoy planning out some of this stuff sometimes because it gives us a little more joy and security also. And it may just depend on what works for you and your family dynamics. But for us, it brought us more peace being able to kind of go over it, review it, think about it, discuss it, so that there weren't a lot of big surprises. There's always surprises, you know what I mean? Yeah. But we were both kind of on the same page with it. So that's what the point of some of these questions are, is to start the conversation so that you guys can be on the same page so you can accomplish everything you want to in life and not have this feeling that you are angered at each other or resenting each other or that you're not in the same page with things.
Well, I remember one of the things I learned from studying Tony Robbins at one point that really stuck with me is he said, when life conditions don't equal expectations, it's the ultimate formula for anxiety, right? And so many people, I think, just to your point, is because they don't get in alignment with what to expect as a couple, now there's opposite expectations from each one. And then when the life conditions don't line up with that, now it's just like anxiety city. And each person is trying to get the other person to line up later, kind of after the fact instead of before the fact. And so I don't think you need to 100% agree on everything because you don't even know everything, but you got to have some basic philosophies down, kind of like I had just mentioned a minute ago or the last episode where it was all about you and I getting like, these are God's kids, so we're gonna treat them as God's kids, not just as what I think I should do or what you think you should do. We're gonna keep going back to the source, and then we're gonna learn how to get good at what the biblical truths are behind it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm sure we have a few more questions that you could be asking, but I think ultimately what it came down to is we both wanted to hear from each other. What are you nervous about?
Yeah.
What are you nervous about, and what am I nervous about?
Yeah.
And can we work through that?
Yeah. And so
that's a real question.
And so then it's that foundation we talked about just now. Then it's also, okay, let's actually start mapping out. What does 5 years from now look like?
Right.
With kids, without kids. Mm-hmm. What's it look like 10 years from now? Let's think about the age we're going to be. For us, even having kids, we had kids all the way until I was, 45, right? That's when we had Hunter. And that was a decision because, I'm getting up there in age and I'm starting to think, okay, I'm 45. When my baby girl, my last one, is 20, I'm going to be 65. Mm-hmm. And so you consider these kind of things because you're like, I want to make sure that I'm healthy and young and And, because we take care of ourselves, we felt okay about that. But everybody's got different plays, you know what I mean? And you have to think through what's going to make the most sense. Now, I will tell you this. I think that there is a couple, if I'm trying to think of what would a lot of married couples probably be afraid of when it comes to, will we have kids? Number one, I'm afraid it's going to change everything, right? And here's the reality. 100% it will.
It 100% does. And if you think you're just going to be able to do the same thing you always did before you had kids, it changes you. And some of it is really, really great. I mean,
yeah.
Really
what does
great.
it change? It changes your like everyday simple freedoms, I think.
It does. And it changes your spare the moment choices
Yeah.
that, you thought you could do before.
It changes maybe a looseness in your schedule. To kind of do what you want to do.
And it changes where you have to think about like 24 hours a day that somebody is relying on you.
Yeah.
Especially those young years. I mean, 24 hours a day, there is somebody relying on you.
And like you're saying, sometimes you could think, okay, well, this is scary. But the reality is what we discovered, even though we had all those same fears, once we had these little ones, it was an adjustment, no doubt about it. At first you're so used to just live in a certain way, and all of a sudden that way went away, right? And so you just have to see it as you're entering a new season that's actually more full, but it's different. So you're going to have to be okay with letting go with components of your previous season in order to enter this new season well.
Well, and to know that, it's a season that you're so excited to do once you get that chance to. And, that you want to do it well, and you want to do it at a level of excellence. And so with that comes realizing that you're going to prioritize things in a different way, whether it's your time, whether it's your money, whether it's, your daily choices. You're going to make choices now that are longer term thinking than ever before. And I think some of the fears too could be that, now you have these little eyeballs staring at you all the time.
Sure.
And with that too, you have a choice to step up to a new level. And if you're one of those people that love to perform at the highest level, I mean, the challenge of taking on parenting is one of those ones that are not the same as building a business. You know what I mean? It's not the same as going out there and doing other endeavors. It's really an emotional, it's an emotional building.
Yeah.
Because you're helping these little humans navigate through life.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. Here's a couple things though that I think people can do wrong, and you can speak to some of these as well. I think some of the wrong decisions people make when it comes to deciding to have kids is that they'll just have kids out of fear of age or something like that. You know what I mean? And maybe they aren't ready, but it's like, oh man, the clock's ticking. So even though you and me, honey, we're an absolute mess and we're literally almost divorced, let's have a kid because I'm 32, right? Or, I'm terrified of this, but boy, oh boy, I know I've been terrified since 22, but now I'm 34 and I haven't really worked on myself at all yet, but because my clock's ticking, we better pop a baby out here pretty quick, right? You see that stuff kind of happen quite a bit. I think when's the right time, you're going to decide that. But like, as we said, I mean, it has a lot to do with, are you growing you, and even if you're not fully feel like you're ready, because I don't know if anybody's fully ready, but are you working on it? Are you working towards it? Or are you just going to just like not work on you and just invite another living being into the normal you grew up in?
Yeah, I think for me, I worked on it in bits and pieces and still do. You know what I mean? I worked in the first phase, which was the phase of learning how to take care of myself. So when I was pregnant, what that would look like, and then there was the phase of, so then you bring home the baby in the early, before they're, a toddler, those early years, like what do they need? What do I need during that season?
Yeah.
And then I started working on the next phase, which is they became like toddler to the next, before teenage years type thing. And then now we're in the teenage stage. And it's like, we got our fundamental down. And then after we got the fundamental, I grouped learning what to do.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some of the things, and definitely learning how to have a level of like flexibility with each other. I think that's a big thing about at the beginning is understanding that both people are coming into this never having done it maybe before, obviously, or even if you had, you hadn't done it with each other. And so to start this whole parenting journey, you gotta be flexible with each other. You gotta give each other that grace that you need, because we all do things wrong.
For sure. But other wrong decisions I see people make sometimes is that, like, some people you watch and they're great people and they decide to not have kids. And when I ask them, what that's all about, because if you think about it, whoever you have in your life, they're going to speak into your life. I mean, if you have people around you that are like, oh yeah, I would never have kids. Like, I just want to give up what my own freedom and this, and this. And if you have 10 people around you saying that, you're probably going to get very influenced by that. Now, if you're around other people like us, and you say, no, I'm thinking about having a family, and we'd be like, it'll be the best thing you ever did. Like, that's our philosophy because of our experience and how we've, had so much joy. Our life would be so different. Like, it'd be so different. Not that it would be bad, but it wouldn't be so full, without having these kids. So if you're around us, we're going to be constantly convincing you. And so I think a wrong decision people could make is that, I don't know if I want to have kids because I'm so afraid of the responsibility / I don't know if I can believe in myself enough to actually be able to handle it. I think that'd be a wrong decision. I think you can handle it. I just think you got to go to work. I just think you got to actually choose to actually do something. Don't just sit where you are without growing and changing. Don't just sit there and not try to find some good mentors in your life. Don't be so cheap that you don't pay someone to actually, help you, that has fruit on the tree that you're looking for. But this is a lot of stuff that people do. They just stay stuck and they just sit there thinking, I don't know if I can do it. Yes, you could. The word says, be fruitful and multiply, subdue the earth, have dominion over the fish, the sea, the fowl. It's like the word tells us that it's God's will for us to have children. And so let's do it. Now, everybody has different ideas of what fruitful means. For you, it means like as many kids as possible, right?
Well, that's because our kids are cool.
Well, yeah.
They're the
Everybody's
coolest kids
are
ever.
cool. You just got to help teach them how to stay cool. Right?
Yeah.
It's really the truth. That's a whole nother topic. But, here's another one. People make decisions on, well, I don't know if I can afford it. That right there is smart in the short term. But here's my advice to you. Fix it. Fix it. So yeah, maybe you can afford to bring on a couple new kids right now. So you know what you do? Instead of just saying, well, I can't, and then just staying where you're at, fix it. Go find a new opportunity. Go find a new endeavor. Go make some more money. Go grow you and add more value everywhere you go. Have more money come in so you can afford it. You know what I mean? Eliminate that excuse out of your life, because you're going to miss out on something that might be the most precious thing in your life, right? So anyways, any more thoughts on this?
No, I think all of it's good stuff. And just to, add to it is that anything that you really want, you can overcome any of your fears, any of your challenges. You can really figure out what you really want if you're willing to go out and do the work for it.
Sure.
And that even goes with, starting a family. And again, some people do it and they don't really take the time to think it all through. And sometimes it pans out. Sometimes it doesn't for them. You know what I mean? I just know for in my situation, I wanted to be more prepared than not. I wanted to be more informed than not. I wanted to be in a position where I could really help us achieve the family life that we want on top of all the other goals we had in life.
Yeah.
Because not you don't have to give up one to have the other.
Yeah, and that was a big thing that you and I had to get in agreement about and talk through. It's that we didn't want to give up our ambitions for finances and everything else and lifestyle when we started having kids, right? You didn't want to give up your ability to, share with the world how special you are and your strengths and your, everything that you bring to the table just to be a stay-at-home mom. Not that there's anything wrong with that. However, you wanted to do more than that. Right?
Yeah, it was in me, and it ran through my blood that I wanted to be able to do multiple things and do it at the highest level. Yep. And I think sometimes women have to be able to voice that and be heard. And if you, are married, for your husband to hear that, he needs to be able to hear that, and with you come up with a solution on how it can work out for everybody to still feel like they were fulfilling what they're called to be.
Right. So remember us mapping this out, and we started thinking, okay, well, what does this mean? Well, let's think about from what we've seen, what it takes when you start having really young babies in a household. I mean, it's a 24/7 kind of a deal. And if you're going to have anybody in your home, a nanny, whatever, you're going to have people you can trust. And if you're going to have somebody there, what kind of roles will they play that then keep us from being exhausted And how much money do you have to pay these people? So are we in position for that? If not, we're going to get that in position as fast as possible. So now that's going to be one of those categories that we have taken care of, right? And we would go to work on it.
Yeah, and then also just to have the support that you need, even from family, with the different endeavors we've done traveling, we've done all kinds of busy time in our business, productive time, and we've needed somebody also that we could trust to come and be with them when we couldn't be. And sometimes that was nannies that we hired on and helpers that way. But, even the help from my parents. I mean, the amount of, work they've put into our kids has only blessed, for sure, you and me, but our children, and to have that kind of connection with them. But they gave up stuff to be able to help us accomplish what we wanted also.
Yep.
And that all came with good conversations between you and me first, and then going to my parents being like, we're thinking about starting our family. We would love for you to support, and this is what we would look like for support.
Would you be willing to do X, Y, Z? We have business trips, we have whatever. Would you be willing to stay with our kids? Even if, whatever it is, we plan it far enough in advance, and we're really communicative about all this. I mean,
and they were always available for that, which just again went to go show that if you're willing to do the work and if you have the right support team, you can accomplish what you ultimately want, which is to have a family and achieve in other areas of life.
Right.
And that's the fun part about it, is if you really do kind of plan it out, you ask the questions together, then you really can accomplish, what you both want as far as a family dynamic. And so, I think we're going to chat more about kind of how we went down the path of having a small tribe. Because it's a fun journey once you start on it. And it's one of those ones that you just you're really proud of yourself.
Yeah.
That you said yes.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like deciding when you want to have kids, thinking through roughly how many you think you want. Obviously, you can change that decision as you go. That's kind of part one. Then part two for us was, okay, we've actually decided now that we're going to have kids. So now, how do we do this? Like, how do you actually go about, like, I feel like, okay, well, I'm not going to get too graphic here.
Yeah, children are listening.
Yeah, we know how to do that. We just,
but
you know what I mean? Like,
we got that figured out.
What's that going to look like in the first, couple of years, even through getting pregnant to being pregnant, all that kind of stuff. And we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. And we have great news. You get more of us. You can expect new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. So be sure to consistently tune in with us and enjoy our show. See you next time.